Hello, this is Patrick, one of the Wild Guys. This is my YouTube intro with some of the Wild Guys. We will be canoeing and rafting rivers and lakes and even out a little bit in the Pacific Ocean in the Northwest Territories, Yukon, and British Columbia. Joined the Wild Guys on the Bowron Lakes in 2010, only to get chased out by a forest fire. But that didn't stop us from having a lot of fun in the Isaac River chutes, plus seeing a lot of animals and having a great time there.
Well, she's 2010 and the Wild Guys is starting to arrive. We're going to go on a canoe trip, Bowron Lake.
So we got Doug and Tanya here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and Tanya's heading off to Vancouver with Doug's credit card. Anyways, we'll catch you down the road.
We will provide you a little map that will take you from Quesnel into the Bowron Lakes. Bowron is going to be 800 kilometers north of Vancouver, and from Quesnel it's going to be 115 kilometers east. You're going to see some beautiful scenery on Bowron Lake. The chain of lakes will be 115 kilometers from start to finish. But before you get started, you're going to be walking 2.5 kilometers just to get to the water. Before you can head out on the lakes, you're going to have to go through an orientation and make sure you only have 35 pounds that you put in your canoe when you roll it out on the portage. The rest of the gear over 35 pounds is going to have to be on your back. At the orientation, they give you some valuable information, like don't feed the bears. The rest of the crew have now made it here. We're now on the road, and we're heading up to Quesnel and then into the Bowron Lakes. You can expect to see the feathered creatures like the bald eagle, moose, grizzly, black bear, deer, or put your food away so the bears don't eat your food and you go hungry. Caribou, timber wolves, mountain goat, marmots, fox, otter, beaver, lots of stuff. I will add a print of some of the animals that I had just mentioned, but there'll be much more. Bird that I always look forward to hearing is a loon. To me, that is precious. We are at Wells now, and John Waters' wife, Barbara, is camping nearby. Bowron Lake was originally known as Bear Lake, possibly named by fur traders traveling on the Fraser River near the present-day Quesnel. We are now just before Barkerville at the campsite where John's wife is going to give us a free dinner. Thanks, Barb, for a great dinner. A newspaper article written by Alvin Johnson and published in the Quesnel Caribou Observer dated back to June 22nd, 1961, and it talked about the early day trappers on the Bowron. Today, trapping is not well accepted in our society. Years back, it was one of the ways that they used to make a living. Porcupine was not got for their fur, but it was good meat. These are some of the animals that would be traditionally trapped in British Columbia back at that particular time. The river otter were a very playful and fun animal. Some of the other smaller animals like squirrels and weasels, little bigger, beaver, and muskrat would be what they trapped. A lot of the trapping that you see here has now been changed to a much more humane form of trapping. The First Nations that historically lived and traveled in the Bowron Lake area was known as the Takala. Back then they weren't called the Dakalak, but they were called the Chinlak. In about 1862, they were wiped out by smallpox. Okay, we'll take the short trip over to Bowron Lake where our tents are set up. Okay, tomorrow's going to be a busy day to get ready and also to get out onto the lake. It's dark and it's time to get into our sleeping bags. Well, I'm Mickey Mouse to set of batteries to keep my camera going. We'll have to see how that all works out.
Well, this is day 2 of the 2010 Bowron Lake trip. Now, Doug was making some snoring noise last night. And that's Mark there. He made a little noise too. He walked on me when he got up to go outside last night. Morning, Bob.
Good morning, Pat.
This is the day we hit the water.
It is?
It is. Yeah, we're going in. We got to get it inspected first.
On the Bowron trip, we got a different camera. These are some of the batteries that I put together to try to keep us in power so we can take pictures. Not sure what kind of pictures we're going to be getting from it. The first part of it turned out okay, but then after that, it wasn't a very effective movie camera at all. I had to go back to the original. But we gotta focus on the coffee now.
Boy, I got the formula figured out for the coffee.
That's the coffee, right?
We got to get the cold water. We got Yogi working on her right now.
We need something to lift it up.
I got to get a shot of this breakfast over here. Morning, Bob.
Breakfast of champions.
That's good. What do you got there? That looks like some peanut butter and toast, is it? Minus the toast?
I hope it's peanut butter.
Okay. So,
All right, there we go.
this is some of the stuff. We got some cheese here. We got some eggs here. We got some vitamin C, oranges.
Oh, it's already good.
We got some honey over here, peanut butter. No, she got to be rolling.
Just about.
Just about.
Okay.
Got enough, Pat?
Pardon?
Got enough coffee?
Well, we put one more spoonful in it.
How many did you put in?
I put in 5.
Oh, yeah. Shit, you need more than that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But we don't have good.
I generally put a full cup in. But that's a bigger cup. Okay, guys, I'm going to shut you off until I get down to the water. Oh,
It's too bad we couldn't do the same.
Doug, did you want something to say, Doug?
Did you say you're shutting us off?
Doug is doing some stuff here. I think he had a commentary on it, so just a sec here. Doug. Whoop, did you hear what he said there?
It was something about logic.
We're going to have a chat with him here.
Yeah, Doug
About
was
his
giving
language.
us a lecture on logic. The
Logic, yeah.
The logic of the bureaucracy.
That's right, yeah. Doug is still with the bureaucrats, or bureaucrats. Sorry.
Well,
I
you guys
swear
can
by
shake
God
hands or something.
that I will honor the taxpayers and fulfill their dreams.
Thank you, Yogi. That was really good.
Grenada.
Well, guys are all dressed up and getting ready for their orientation. I'm sure at this point you're wondering about those wild guys.
You're all ready to go?
Guys?
Now, as a parks warden, I imagine you've got some questions right now, have you? Have you ever had a group like this go through here?
I haven't seen one, no, I haven't.
Is that right? Yeah. I'd check them out pretty thoroughly.
We should get going, Patty.
Oh, we gotta go? Okay.
Can you just get a shot of it? There's one more coming, but he might not join us. Where do you want to be?
I'm sure by now you're all wondering what's going on with all the whites when we're going out on a canoe trip in the wilderness. Well, there's a story behind this. We were doing our first trip on the Yukon from Whitehorse to Dawson City, and there was somebody putting a seminar on as regards to canoeing in the wild as we were, and we went to that seminar, and he had all kinds of points that he brought to our attention. But he also mentioned to us that if you're going to be going out there and it's going to be really hot weather, don't have dark clothes on. Make sure you got nice light clothes on or white clothes on so you can keep cool. Well, guess what? We gobbled that all up. If we met another group and they seen us in our whites, you know what the first question was? Mind you, we hit some cold weather and the whites disappeared really fast. You'll notice that we won't be that far down the portage or onto one of the lakes, and the color of the clothing is going to change pretty fast. Oh, unless it's a real hot day. John's wife Barb was camped out near Barkerville and looked after us for our dinner that evening, and is out now, and she's going to be our moderator on the camera
These are the
for a
boys
while.
getting ready to weigh their gear, taking everything over to the scale there, organizing themselves.
The park is open to a limited number of canoes and kayaks each year from May the 15th until September the 30th. The Bowron Lake chain of lakes has been named by Outside Magazine as one of the top 10 canoe trips in the world. Whew.
Just a tiny bit of gear.
The first major arrival of European settlers in the area around Bowron Lake Park came from the Caribou Gold Rush in the 1860s.
Very busy crew right now. Hi, Pat.
How we doing that, Rick? Pretty good, eh?
Yeah, well, you guys have got an awful lot of stuff.
It was not till 1917 that Bear Lake had a name change to Bowron Lake. It was called after John Bowron, who was in the gold business around Barkerville, who passed away in 1906. This is the town that John Bowron lived in, and this is his wife Emily that he had married with. The Bowron Lakes is well signed. You'll never get lost. I guess the Parks branch were told we were coming, because there's even a sign of the sign. All our stuff is going to be weighed before we're let loose out onto the Bowron. Bear Lake, as it was known years back, and later changed to Bowron Lake after the gold commissioner from Barkerville, that would be John Bowron. It was more known after that as time went on as a very valuable park for people to come and visit and see the beauty of all the animals and the things around them than it was for the gold that it was previously. After our 2.5 portage, which we should be getting on as soon as we get the rest of our orientation and our stuff loaded in our canoes and down to Kibbe Lake, I'd like to tell you a wee bit about Kibbe Lake. There was a lot of hunters and trappers back in those days, but the most prominent of these guides was Frank Kibbe. He started setting up trap lines in the area in 1900, and he built a home on the shores of Bowron Lake in 1907. He was the longest operating and most renowned guide in the region, and one of the lakes in the chain, Kibbe Lake, is today named after him. The wild guys will soon be paddling across Kibbe Lake. Yes, paddling through history and all the things that come before us. Certainly very interesting to look at the past. As the mining was dying out, a lot of hunting and trapping was taking place. But then again, in the 1920s, there was concerns raised about the stress on the wildlife population in the Caribou Mountains, and they proposed that it should be put into a game reserve. The Yellowstone National Park in the United States was used as an example of what should be done to the caribou, making it a hunting-free sanctuary where the animals could populate and grow and prosper once again. The Bowron Lakes Game Reserve was established by the provincial government in 1925, and guess who was going to be the first game warden to make sure it was preserved? Yes, Frank Kibbe. Some of our hunters are our best environmentalists, I guess. They would certainly understand the lifestyle of the animals they're there to protect. Well, this is an appropriate time for Barb's to say bye to John. Barbara will soon be going back to the campsite. Barb's is the one who provided us dinner when we got here.
Okay, here we are leaving the parking lot. We've already got Yogs already at the top there.
There's always one guy in the group that never does any work.
And here they are leaving the administration area.
The first portage starts at the starting point, and it's 2.5 kilometers. Over the full length of the Bowron Lake chain, you're going to cover about 9 kilometers of portaging. The handy little wheels under our canoe can be rented at Becker's Lodge or the Bowron Lake Lodge. It works well for you.
Superlative of it.
Well, I'm leaving that up to you.
Bye, Barb. We'll
Be
back.
safe.
It was good to have Barb's come along for a ways and do some videoing as we took off down to Kibbe Lake, but she's going to have to go back to her campgrounds that she's got right near Barkerville now. So we'll catch her on the way out. Thanks, Barb's, and thanks for the dinner you gave us the other night. That was super.
Before and after.
Have a good time.
Are we there yet?
Not yet.
This cameraman's supposed to be pushing a canoe. What happened to him?
Well, we just walked in from the Bowron, uphill all the way, a tough slug. We met some people down here. I don't know if we were holding them up or not. Were we holding you guys up?
Our starting point was at the end of Bowron. We went down a portage 2.5 kilometers and we're now at Kibby Lake. Some of us are at the end of the first portage and we're now down at Kibby Lake. The rest will be coming soon.
Okay, here comes the old guys. They're a little bit slower. Hi, Bob. Hi, Brian.
Are we home yet?
We're home here. There comes Jim. And then we've got that baler guy behind. Hi, Mark.
So we were misled.
We now are where we can put our boats in the water. Okay, you guys, we're at Kibby Lake. The boys are going to start to do a little bit of work. I got to make sure that I take a video of everything they do. And so I'll do my best here. Kibby Lake 2011 Wild Guys Tour.
Oop, I made the mistake. First one. It's 2010.
And we met these fine people from Quesnel, the town of flowers. You tell your city council they're doing a fine job.
They sure do. They do an excellent job.
Pat,
Yes?
this is city council.
Oh,
I'm the mayor.
Mayor, deputy mayor, deputy sheriff.
okay, so we're going to be in the water pretty soon. Just depends how fast these guys work. Anyways, I'll shut her down for now.
When you get to Kibby Lake, you sort of think this must be a moose pasture, a little trail through a swamp. But it certainly changes and gets wider and more open. And you're going to see here in this little map I put in, not a long lake, but it's a nice lake. Okay, I had to put in the loons and the eagles first. We already got to see a golden eagle. And guess what? There's more water. There's a little map and a home to many moose. We've completed Kibby Lake and we portage now across to Indian Point. So the pictures you're going to now see is where we're portaging to Indian Point.
Well, here the boys come.
Hey, Pat.
I'm filming.
We appreciate that.
That's good.
You're doing a good job.
She's pretty well all uphill, but I think they're going to get them.
This message is for D.
Oh, yeah?
Does not listen, D. Train him a lot better.
And here comes Brian and Bob just to giving her. So I'll pull up the rear here in a minute. Okay, we're going to Indian Point. We got a couple guys that sort of slowed the progress down ahead of us, but we're coming along. So I'm going to have to shut her down here in a minute or they're going to leave me behind. Okay, bye.
This is our Bowron Lake trip that we're going to be taking. We did the second portage. We're now at Indian Point Lake. We'll show you some pictures now of Indian Point, a lake there. It's a very nice lake. Enjoy the clear air because it's going to change soon.
Well, this is Indian Point. We've got all our stuff moved back portaged over here.
First Nations Point.
And I understand that we cannot have any more portage or portages today. Yeah. So not until tomorrow can we portage. Doug, does that sort of tick you off? Huh?
Yeah.
We can't lug these things back and forth across the land
Do
anymore.
more pushing and pulling than canoeing.
Yeah.
It's not a lot shorter.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us. There must be one more somewhere. Anyways, oh, he's over there. He went for a swim. Okay, I'll shut her down for now. Bye.
You're going to start to see more smoke in the air. Looks like there's some sort of a forest fire not too far from here. Hopefully it doesn't have any negative effects on us, but because we're going to continue right on down the Bowron Lake chain of lakes. As we get set up on Indian Point Lake, you're going to notice that there are great campsites that we have here and great facilities. So we're going to be stopping for the remainder of the day and camping here on Indian Point Lake at this beautiful campsite. Each site is equipped with a metal grated fire ring and also a steel door food cache and a pit toilet, so we got lots of good facilities. There's a number of bears and grizzlies out here, and they're smart ones too, because they know about us humans are sometimes a wee bit lazy and leave our food lying around, and they come in for a free snack. So we're going to have to make sure that we get them in these locked metal containers.
Well, this is our
Today.
first happy hour. Are you guys all happy or what? I think they're ignoring me. They got their own little deal going on here.
Oh, I can't. Hope Schweets.
Hope Streets.
And then you got to ring the cowbell.
No, did you bring it?
Okay, these are our cooks. This is Bob here. He's our cooher. And we got another cooher over here. They're wondering what a cooher is. That's a cook in Dobra cooher is a good cook in Croatian. You a good cook there, Jim?
Well, that'd be seen yet.
Seen yet.
Seen yet.
Seen yet. Okay. Now, are you guys going to be done with this frying pan later on? Because I left my shirts at home. I'm going to have to wash my shirt. I probably could do it in the frying pan, eh?
You already did.
You promise it's just your shirt?
Yeah. The other thing, I got lots of shorts there. Now, what I was going to check on is they were wanting to know if you guys would come down to happy hour.
I don't know, this is Hell's Kitchen. You're going to have to ask the boss.
Okay.
Bob's done a great job, so I'll let Bob go down for happy hour, and then I'll
What are you going to do?
finish this off.
Okay.
Keep an eye on it.
Okay.
But it's pretty hard to tell.
The boys are washing the dishes. Apparently we can't wash the dishes in the lake anymore. The scientists and
to hell in a hot in a handbasket.
and the academias are telling us that it could pollute our planet because the rice could be toxic. I sure wished I could help them. Oh,
Can't help yourself, Patty.
okay.
This is our second day. We are on Indian Point Lake, just waking up and getting up out of our sleeping bag. Looking forward to a new day today. The next pictures that you're going to see are going to be shots around Indian Lake before we take another portage and head over to Isaac Lake. This is Indian Mountain, so it's not all lakes here. On some of the lakes we have very wet, marshy ground on one side and mountains and dry on the other. There's everything from low-lying swamps and moose pastures to the mountains that we see and the lakes that's going between. We even got a aerial shot of the Indian Lake, and they got lots of camping here, and also some nice pictures of the evenings. We'll be portaging soon. The lake is narrowed down. I did some research on Indian Point Lake to see why it was called Indian Point Lake. I didn't find much, but there were First Nations that gathered in certain locations. So this is why some of the communities could be named this way. Most of the lakes on Bowron Lake chains has a point that comes out near the end of the lake, and that's what you're seeing now. Well, that didn't take long. We're heading over to Isaac Lake now. We're just leaving Indian Point Lake. So before long, we'll be on Isaac Lake.
Here comes the guys in. There's some that don't trust where we come. They're going to the muddy section. This looks like Bob and Brian, the two Victoria, Vancouver Island guys.
Oh, okay.
Most things that happen have a political twist to it, and the local pine beetle did as well. Germany was infested in the 17th and 18th century with pine beetle in 1787. Over 1.5 million trees were killed in the Himalaya Mountains in 1781 to 1787. But in Canada, we said it was a new phenomenon brought on by global warming or climate change, whatever works for you that particular day. Remember the Bowron Lake Registry. This is what the wild guys looked like then. I wonder how they're going to do after the portaging and camping for a few days. Anyways, this is going to bring us to the end of Series 1, but we're a long ways from done the Bowron. So watch out for the Series number 2 of the Bowron Lake and the wild guys as they continue on to hopefully complete this trip, as long as the fire doesn't put them to a stop. We are very optimistic about Series number 2. We hope you are too, so don't forget to join us. Watch for Patrick and the other wild guys on the Bowron in Series number 2. That's on 2010, an extension of this one that we're on right now. We would love to have you come along with us.